Towers started here in America in about 1979. It was a lighting company at first, and it kind of morphed into a staging company, but it grew exponentially.
Tait Towers has always represented the best in the business.
What we're building either enables the show to happen or not. We thrive on complications.
25 years ago, musicians were making money selling records. And now they're making money selling seats. And that's why we're making stage sets.
Like any organization, we have our moments, we have our drama.
It's full on because there's a deadline that we're up against all the time. There's no showing up a day late.
In this business, you're only as good as your last show.
We've got the first production meeting today for Bon Jovi. We've got all the team coming together so we can really work through the show element by element by element and hopefully identify what the problems will be before they happen. So we've got production manager, the head rigger, we've got the scenic designer and lighting designer, we've got some of the key members from the video crew because this is a heavily integrated video automation show. We've got our senior team there, project management, head of design, head of automation. So we're gonna just knuckle down and go through this thing and see what the hell we have to do.
Welcome everybody to Tait Towers, Bon Jovi 2013 production meeting. Woohoo, very exciting. Ben will be arranging for a projection test a little later on today. We have a projector coming in to shoot on the hanging prototype of the Hex, and we have a couple more surface materials that are going to arrive around FedEx around 10:30, so that'll either be just before or just after lunch.
Conceptually, the show is what it is. Now it's a question of how to solve the problem, and we're having to invent some stuff to make this happen, right? This has never been done before.
There's so many moving elements in the show, both for the projections and for the lighting, that the amount of unique looks that can be created with the gear that we're providing is unprecedented.
And state-of-the-art. Automation is bringing some new technology onto this show that is a world unveiling. We haven't done it anywhere else.
It's about providing a projection surface that can be there and can be gone instantly. The things that go up and down from the floor and the things that go up and down from the ceiling can disappear or appear, and as soon as they appear, they can have video imagery on them.
The columns that are coming from the air, the columns that are coming from the ground, to make them telescope at this speed, come in and come out, also be serviceable, it's tough. Our team's given it our best shot. We think we've got it solved, but hopefully this is a group of people that will find out what the holes are in the plan before we go build it. Because of the way we're doing the overlapping hexes, which we really like that idea now because we think it's going to give us the most uniform shape. If you think about it, only at full extension are you going to have a minimal overlap, but there's still probably an overlap of 6 inches or a foot or something like that. And anywhere in there, there's multiple overlaps, and it's going to give you a very strange...
Well, and there's the shadows of the internal ripping.
Which I think all that's cool, right?
For gain with projection, what you want is the most opaque fabric you can get, so we're bouncing back all the light. For interior lighting, you want the most transparent fabric you can get.
Right, but the interior thing is an extra credit piece, so
okay.
If we do our tests and we determine there's no value in it,
okay,
bye-bye.
All right, so are you going to try to prove that? Are we doing that today with panels?
What's being done on this show is going to really raise the level of what touring artists need to bring to the table.
These hexes at the top, they're larger. At the bottom, they're smaller, right?
Negative. They're more lampshade-like.
So the
Armadillo.
What happens
as they come out, the top's the same as the bottom?
Yep.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're taking a piece of stretchable fabric, laying it over top of itself, sewing 6 lines on it, inserting twin wall polycarbonate, the thinnest, lightest, see-through plastic we can get, and then wrapping it up into a hex and sewing that last seam. And what that allows us to do now is they breathe just a little bit. And so now you can just take the same thing, stack one on top of the other on the other, and as they come up, they get a little bit bigger, and as they go down, it turns into a very gentle, tapered shape.
They're all tapered a little bit.
repeating taper.
Yeah.
Like the Chinese cup, the cup that, you know, the old camping cup. You guys ever had that?
Right, so when they're all next to each other, and you have two of them next to each other,
There's a gap.
there's a gap.
Yeah, because of the way the projectors are hitting it, creates a black line, and it's a question of how disruptive that black line is in the image. I think we could test this, though, as we get another prototype and see if we can't squeeze it so the top gap's maybe 1/4 of an inch, which will make the bottom gap 2 1/4.
The inner half of them are going to shrink, and the outer half are going to expand. It's an equilibrium thing between the two.
Have we proven? We haven't proven that yet.
We just got the first one over the weekend, so.
We will definitely be making changes today.
Morning. Levine,
Yeah.
who can we get to run that hex?
Why are you guys?
Spike and I want to look at it.
Our goal today is to prove to them that what we've sold we can do. So we have a bunch of concepts for custom lifts, elevators, and winches that are set up around the shop. So we'll be walking all the vendors around, the set designer, the production manager, you know, to prove that we can do it. So we've got a lot of stuff to show off today.
So this is a hangy one. Is there? And this is a groundy one. Oh, they are doing it with a zip lift, are they?
No. They were just using that for some prototyping.
To prototype the material?
And what this prototype is essentially to prove to ourselves that we can create a hexagonal column that is able to telescope up and down and hopefully appear to be seamless as it does that, so that we can take a front projection from both sides, on the upstage side and the downstage side. They're going to program content to run in 3D map with these hexagons. It was really a proof of concept of our shroud, if you want to call it that. We've got the hard panels, and then at the seam, we're able to stretch. So you can imagine as it goes up, you know, it pushes the next one out, and it continues to do that as it goes.
Who's going to do this? I'm calling eWorld.
We've done about 10 of these prototypes as far as the actual fabric shroud.
This is an opportunity for us as the brain surgeons behind how to go accomplish this concept to really do the first handoff to the production team of, okay, guys, this is what you're going to take around the world. This is what you're going to have to get in and out of the truck every day.
Can I have somebody over here who can operate the little hexagons for Bon Jovi?
We want to show it to them so they can get it in their heads and really start to do all the planning necessary with labor and intermixing all of the departments, lighting, video, staging, automation. You know, there's a lot that has to come together, and this is the team that's going to make that happen.
The whole thing's all set up here, ready to go. Can I have somebody over here who can operate the little hexagons for Bon Jovi? The whole thing's all set up here, ready to go. You could have told us that was happening. That would have been nice.
Especially when you're old.
Russell could have had a heart attack.
This is a kabuki sniffer combination. It's a way to drop a drape into the deck and then quickly remove it. So what each of these little solenoids is a place where the goods are going to hook in, and then we're going to fire those, drop it in, and then this piece of machinery is going to suck the goods back up.
After you've trashed like $100,000 of soft goods, it's a shredder.
It's a shredder.
Yeah.
We've got prototypes scattered around. You know, there's stuff over in Manchester, there's stuff downstairs here in number 9. We try to prototype.
Can you run that? Let's go. What's taking so long? Spike. Oh, that's not good, the way it wiggles like that. Look, why does it go like that?
No, I don't like it. Though.
I don't like that wiggly bit. It's a prototype.
You like to prove that every concept works before you go build it.
We call it Televator Trolley. It's been kind of a headache for everybody from day one.
The last tour, it was a prototype situation, which was basically an evolution of something we did on U2, where we had cameras that could go up and down from the downstage edge, but they were pushed by a human. On Bon Jovi, we prototyped that to make it all wireless. It's run from people out of sight and off the stage, so everything's kind of automated. You can pan, tilt the camera, you can raise and lower the camera, you move the camera along the track without having a human standing in front of the stage, which is something that John wanted. He didn't like having the technicians in front of the stage.
As we run this up, you can see it's telescoping, and what we have issues right now with is the stages, the tolerance in there is too great, so it inherently is allowed to kind of slop around. We're going to tighten that up by adjusting the shims that are in here. These wheels right now, as they track over the seams in the track, they cause a bit of a bounce. So to mitigate that, we're going to spread the wheels out a bit more.
When is Mr. Bon Jovi coming here?
It's available the week of the 21st. No set date for it.
Okay. We ought to have all of the changes we just spoke about finished by then, even if it's rudimentary with a gear motor stuck on the side of it or something, so we can have a full test to see if we can get it. Dude, is there anything else we need to look at with this, or can we all group over to the columns and look at that for a second? Yeah. Okay.
We also have a prototype of a yo-yo winch, which we were testing for reliability. Obviously, we have a cable that spools on itself, so the diameter is always changing, and therefore it's really difficult to position that accurately. And we were just confirming with ourselves, essentially, that we can create something that is reliable, that does come back to the same position every time you run it. That's what we proved out here. We've done that with a number of different weights, a number of different speeds, and that was successful.
You know, you can calculate a lot of stuff, engineer a lot of stuff, but you still got to build a prototype in order to get the feel, the right feel for it. You know, does it really behave the way you're expecting, or is it going to be something that you didn't, anticipate in it? That's why, the key of success is really actually as many prototypes as you can build it. It's a time-consuming process. It takes time to do it, which is, time's always against us, as you probably already know, guys.
We've got, I think, 3 working weeks left to go make it happen. By the time you take out convenient Christmas and New Year's, there's not a lot of time. So you're talking 15 days, maybe 20 working days maximum. So we've got to make sure we're all on the same page and make sure we're making the right decisions and not stepping backwards at all, and just go. We've got, I think, 3 working weeks left to go make it happen. We've got to make sure we're all on the same page and make sure we're making the right decisions and not stepping backwards at all, and just go.
Hexagons that we're building are going to be video mapped upon. So the reason why it's a hexagon is that that's a shape that lends itself nicely to being side by side with another shape. Whatever shape we make those hexagons go into, there will be content, and it can be specifically, precisely mapped to whatever formation we put it in, so that there's no spill of the video on the top or on the sides or underneath, so that image is controlled very, very finely, and that content can actually now be 3D as well. It's pretty high tech.
So first thing you have to do is align your projectors to the thing and find your focus. So one of the challenges, we have things in multiple planes, so it's 2 different focuses. And with the current thing that we got going on, we're also converging. So you can't converge and focus 2 projectors in the same plane, which then brings up the flag. Are we doing, is our current paradigm really the right way to do it as far as 4 projectors converge? Maybe there's a different way to do it.
We're looking at convergence points of the projectors. Everyone was very confident that they could focus multiple projectors on one plane. I guess nobody had taken into account the fact that we had 4 different planes that these images were going to have to converge on.
We've got video projectors shooting not at one object, but at multiple objects. And those objects aren't flat, they're moving and curved.
We have these 3 different planes of hexagons that we're trying to focus projectors on from out here in the house. And Obviously, when you have multiple projectors, you can converge the images perfectly at one point on one plane. But as you move farther away, that convergent point now moves apart and farther apart. And so effectively, you end up with an image that isn't lined up anymore.
Wouldn't be a big deal if we had one projector. We can deal with it with software, but we've got about 15 or 20 that we've got to line up and converge.
The precision necessary to even make that work once it got programmed was going to be such that it was going to make the load-in procedure more than anyone could ever handle on a day-to-day basis.
We're not going to have the projectors hung till noon. We got to be ready to do a show by 7 o'clock. So we've got to not only make it happen, but we've got to come up with a system that lets us do it really, really quickly, really accurately, even though every day we hang it, it's going to be different in a different building, in a different city, in a different location. That's a challenge.
For this group of people to be sitting here at this table kind of stumped, it says something because you basically have some of the best and the brightest in the business. As a result of this meeting, we want to go change a little bit about how we treat the edges and a bit about our fabric stretch. We want to probably pre-stretch it a bit more so that hopefully we can get some of the kind of bunched up bit of fabric to go away at the corners.
There's a material issue. We're talking about building a lot of these things. So first and foremost, we have to figure out like what's the best material and best use of material that we can possibly use. Wood's fairly cheap. We can get a lot of wood, but is that going to work in the system? Aluminum, much more expensive. Do we have to be as thick if it's aluminum? So we've got thinner aluminum down the bottom, our wood, and then the other thicker pieces of aluminum on top. We're waiting to test this one. I have a feeling the thinner aluminum is probably going to be the best option for us.
Obviously, we're on a really tight timetable. We got to go build a ton of these things. And so from a design standpoint, the sooner we can establish what that design is, the simpler that we can make that design. And ultimately, the faster we can get it into production, the sooner it will be able to be built and we will waste less money, use less time. Ultimately, we end up with something that we can actually deliver on time.
Tonight, we're going to go off and blow off some steam, which I think will be good. Tomorrow, we'll probably come in with some good ideas that people have come up with of how to solve the problems, and then we're going to start focusing on the stage, the camera system, the automation in the stage, and working through those details. Today, we really focused on video and what's in the air.
In addition to our production designer being here yesterday, was our projection design team and some of the content they've created. It's the first time they got a chance to actually see a physical surface and understand what it's going to look like. So the goal was yesterday really to address all the projection position issues, the projection surface issues.
Unfortunately, this isn't the only thing we got going on. So there's a good 10 projects of this scale that are all getting worked out simultaneously.
As we've said now for months, our January and December is very, very busy with the shows that are already on the list. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do what's already here. We all know that we've got issues on Bon Jovi that we're trying to work through, that we're bringing purchasing in to be subbing out as much of that as we can.
What are you doing to manage overtime from the design shop right now, Tyler?
We're doing dinners, we're doing, everyone's for the most part doing at least 10 to 12 hour days. I mean, every day. So.
And we're potentially bringing in some resources to detail stuff early next week.
Any other production issues?
So Spike just called, and he's been talking to the projection folks. What they would like to do is move the lower hexes and the upper hexes into the same plane, remove all the moving lights, the Vipers on the top, so he can get his solid wall, removes half of their convergence issues, and move the walking hexes to the upstage side of that.
So move that to there.
Right, and run
move this
them into each
up
other.
to there.
Right, so he can have his full screen without all the extra layers when he wants it.
That effectively makes all of these walkable hexes then.
So you're saying that the show has gone from having 2 rows of moving lights to no moving lights that just now sit right on top of each other, and then rearrange some of these to the upstage side of that, he's saying, so he can walk above the screen. So they get rid of their convergence issues. Well, we should get him on the phone then, because what we should explain to him is that just makes those walkable. We might as well move these upstage and put lights on.
Yep.
It's going to require a bigger shift because we've only got 4 feet to the upstage wall, so we're going to have to rearrange stuff.
Yeah, we're going to have to push, right.
Yeah, should we get him on the phone? Yeah, just going to rearrange the entire ground plan.
Here we go. Doug, you should be a part of this too.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss the fact that all the hexes are going to change. Today, though, Spike, as the designer, made a compromise on his design to make the effect achievable.
Spike's, of course, changed his number of lifting countries. Spike? Yo. Hey, so what we were just saying, we love your idea. What we wanted to point out is that anytime we take a light off a hex, it becomes a walkable hex.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Patrick, is the ones that are now the walkable hexes become the light hexes.
Your goal also, I'm assuming, is to have the left screen, the center screen, and the right screen is about equal as possible in width?
We're saying that it's 5 projectors, so it's five different surfaces.
Okay. Okay, so we take the total number of columns, divide it by 5, and try to make it work somewhat relative to that.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about 5 40Ks, double stacked to equal 10 40Ks?
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I think we're on it. We'll get you a sketch in a couple minutes.
I can't wait.
Okay. So what are we doing? Okay,
So instead of these being boxes, static, these
They're gonna be the
essentially
same.
move down, so these become lifting hexes as
Well,
well.
no, that eats into the underworld. We're going to match. Whatever we choose on the ground, we're going to move this to match. We're going to take this kind of existing array of hexes and choose a portion of them to be the screen. That's going to be divisible by 5, roughly, so that we might shoot boom, boom, boom. You see what I mean? And then any ones that are left upstage will get lights on it.
Obviously, in the span of 25 minutes, we had kind of redesigned the show, knowing that the hexagons really are the focal point. Obviously, aside from John, but the hexagons are kind of the main scenic element.
It was a pretty good reality check of the amount of work that we have left to do, not just for us, but for the other vendors as well. So it tensed everyone up, but in a good way.
At the way things are going, there's not going to be a lot of Christmas and New Year's around here. It's going to be work, work, work.
Yeah, we've got work to do. It's a day, it's a holiday. Come on, it's not a week. Deer season takes more precedence in Tait Towers than Christmas or New Year's. It's just another night to go out and get drunk. Deer season's a week of getting drunk.
Today's been a good day. It's a good reality check for everybody to see what we've signed up to do. It's not an easy task, right? There's a lot of technology that we're pushing the boundaries of, and I think, as predicted, there's some holes that have shown up that we got to fill in. So it'll be very exciting to see all of this working together. By the time we get the motion control, the video, the software that's warping the video, the content, lighting, that's a big deal. We've got, I think, 15 working days left to do it, so we got to go like hell, go like crazy.